Hello, my name is Emmett Gray. I'm an adjunct professor at Texas A&M Central Texas, and I'm here to just give a short demo on the types of things you might do to analyze a virus, for example. So just to start off with, what does most viruses do? Well, viruses have several goals. One is probably one of the first things it does is to run and hide. It has to be able to avoid detection. So a typical virus would probably make a copy of itself and hide itself someplace else. And then it might configure itself to restart when you start the machine again, or to replicate to some other location. And then it's going to deploy whatever the payload is of the virus. For example, perhaps it's going to scan your machine and find credit card numbers or social security numbers. And then it could, for example, send that data off to some remote server somewhere. So in a typical scenario such as this, we're going to show how students at the university are shown how to analyze a virus to see what it's doing. Okay, so the way it works is I have, for example, here, I have a virus on my system here. And it's called term. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on some special software that's going to monitor what happens to the system. So there's two different ways you can analyze a virus. A static version, which means you go in with a decompiler and you look inside the application to try to figure it out. It's not actually running at the time. And from that you can figure out things like what encryption routine is it using and what are the encryption keys. Those are good things that a student would need to know on how to analyze malware. And then the other technique is the dynamic analysis, where you actually watch what it does. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on this thing called Process Monitor, and I'm going to start recording all the things that happen to this particular thing. So first thing I'm going to do is to turn off the thing. I'm going to clear all the lines and then go in and tell it I want to filter this on only the things that are pertaining to my application, which I'm getting ready to start. So I'm going to go ahead and start my app. This is my virus. And it's up and running now. It hasn't done anything yet. And I'm going to go in here to the filter and tell it that I want to tell the process name to only start collecting things where the process is called term. Okay, so I'm teaching the machine what to listen for. Okay, and then I turn on the recording, and then I deploy my virus. It's called detonate. That's a cool term. I detonate the virus and hit the button. Okay, it's done some stuff, and so I can stop the collection of data now. I've already collected all the data. So one of the things we can do is we can go in now and see what it has done. For example, where did it hide itself? So I'm going to turn off a bunch of these filters, so I only have the things associated with file. And then I'm going to go in here and tell it I want to find the place where we wrote to a file. Okay, so it's going to be an operation called write file. And so I hit this button and boink. So what this basically tells me is that the name of my virus, after it played hide and seek, it put itself in a folder called KKF S something something something, and the name of the virus is now, instead of being term.exe, it's ZZ0F, something 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 something. So I have figured out where it went, and that's pretty cool. And you can continue this type of thing to find out how it replicates and the things that it does. So in addition to making a copy of itself, one of the things that it could do is it could go back in and find this is where it configured itself to start on the next time it boots the system up. So I've created a startup link, and then I keep going. And so here it just created a file, a text file, and we can even see what it actually says inside the text file. If we wanted to, we can go in and actually say, so what is this thing? It created a file. What did it do? And then the other thing we can do is we can see the registry. The registry in the Windows is sort of like a settings file. It contains all the settings for what the system does and doesn't do. And so we've got some data on that. I can turn this thing on, and Now we're looking at the things where it made changes to the registry. Cool. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go in here and do a find, except this time I'm going to hunt for something called reg set value, which shows me where all these things are being. Okay, so there it is. It created a thing, a folder in this particular location, and it wrote some stuff to it. And one of the things you could do is you could see what it wrote. And what it wrote was, its fleece was white as snow. That's what it actually wrote into the registry. The other file, the contents was, Mary had a little lamb. So what we've done is we've done a dynamic analysis where we had the machine record everything that's going on so we could determine the behavior of the virus. We know how it replicated, where it went, what it called itself, what files it changed, what registry settings it's changed. We could, if we wanted to, even go in and do the network activity to see what data that it collected. And in this particular machine, yes, it found some fake credit card numbers. They're not real, don't worry. And some fake Social Security numbers, and it sent it off to another server. So we could find out where did it go, who the server belongs to, what's the location of the server. And these are all just an example of some of the things we do when we do an analysis of malware. So that completes my demonstration. I hope you guys got something out of this.